It's Christmas and holidays with amazing Edward Zia and the even more amazing Steph Gobraiel. How are you, Steph?
I'm good. How are you, Ed?
Oh, it's just been great. I tell you what, to be honest with you, I'm actually exhausted. And I was saying this before. Our business has been going full steam ahead during the break and all the personal stuff. So we've had busy business and personal stuff. So I'm positively exhausted, but feeling good, Steph. There you go. Not even Christmas yet, and I've run out of energy.
Maybe you might need some days in between to catch your breath. Once it slows down a little bit.
There we go. Now, Steph, you've absolutely taken off in leaps and bounds over the past year or two. Everyone's saying that you've gotten yourself everywhere. I just want to ask you in short, how have you risen so quickly? What's been the secret to you sort of really coming and leading and, being such a coming business celebrity?
Thanks, Ed. I'm glad you think so. Sorry, my daughter's just walked in. So she might just stick her head and say hello. Hello. There we go. You want to say hello, Mum? You want to say hello? She knows you, Ed. Every time you pop up or we send each other a voice message, she's like, that's Ed. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Mum, it is Ed. So we were saying, what have I been doing? I've been doing a lot of work on myself, Ed, and I think that's a big part of it. It just all happens in the background. And then, I guess people start to see the results of that. Yeah. And then they're like, once they see the results, they're yes, Mum.
I need tape for the door.
Oh, can you go ask Daddy?
Huge. I got kids who do the same
one more
thing
time,
to
please.
my live streams.
One more time.
Happens to me all
Sorry.
the time.
Okay.
Happens to me all the time. There we go. And I think it only gets worse as you get older. They're going to do more crazy stuff as they get older, Steph.
Yeah, and we've just got to accept it. It's part of our reality, right, Ed? Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, I guess that's an amazing job. You've been working on yourself, and it's really shown like so many people see you, they're inquiring as leads. And what's your before we talk about planning in 2024 and the like, I just want to ask you, to anyone watching who really wants to take off next year the way you have, what's your big lesson / number one tip to them?
So I always say, Ed, set a personal goal. And I think that's really important because I love the saying, and this has stayed with me, business starts with us and it ends with us. So whatever we do for ourselves is the only way we can, take that business step, take that next step in business or take it next level. So I don't just focus on the business goals. The personal goal is just as important, and you might have goals, right? It doesn't have to be one thing. So it could be things like professional development. It could be doing something for you, maybe first thing or last thing in the day or wherever you can fit it in. But all of this stuff really adds up. And I've started to focus on that more this year, and I've seen the results. I've seen how looking after ourselves is, more important than ever, especially in this 24-hour world that we could be working in.
So well said. Well said. I just want to check in with our fans. We've got Marsha and Arusha with us. Marsha, good seeing you. And absolutely, I think Steph's answer is great. It's not just business, but it's also personal accomplishment. If you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. If you are watching the recording too, please connect with Steph Gobraiel and yours truly. And we're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter X. I want to ask you, Steph, again, planning on 2024, you run regular workshops on planning on 2024. How do we plan for 2024? What's the process like? And just walk us through it.
Sure. So look, a lot can change in a year. So whatever I say when we're planning, it's not set in stone, right? So you want to have that flexibility because what could, start the year off with 2024 can look very different by June, July. So it's important to have that flexibility, and you don't have to even plan for the whole year. Even if you plan for the first 6 months, then you've got that direction as to where you're going. So if you need to change direction at any point, you can.
It's funny you say that, and I couldn't agree with you more, because I've been planning heaps for next year, and the biggest thing for me, which I think I told you anyway, I've already executed this plan, is I really want to become like basically a LinkedIn messaging master. So in other words, yes, we've got in our business, we've got the events, we've got heaps of great content, we've got a great brand and great followers like those watching now, and you're awesome, by the way. And the biggest thing for me has been I want to reach out to so many people one-on-one every day. So I'm always building better relationships, building more clients and communities. So it's funny you say that, because for me, even though the next year hasn't started, I'm actually quite crystal clear on what I need to do. Like, to me, yes, I've got a bit of fear about some of the things ahead, right? However, I'm actually quite crystal clear on what I got to do next year. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel this way last year. Last year, I'm saying this shamefully, just being honest. I started this year a little bit ambiguous, where this year I'm feeling solid about it. And we've got Tamara Bertram with us. Tamara Bertram, we love you, Tamara. It's a pleasure. Now, Steph, tell us what you think about all that. You know, it's clarity, and how do you build that clarity and really win big?
I think that's such an important point you made, Ed, because I felt the same way last year. I can still say that at the moment. It's not 2024 just yet. So coming into this year, it was, you know, it was trying to find that clarity. And now I have that clarity more than ever as to, you know, the more of a direction you have, that's the only way, you know, you can jump in the car and go from A to B. But if you jump in the car and say, where are we going? And you don't know where you're going, then that's what's going to cause that ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important, you know, even if it's not solid, even if you just have a direction, and try, you know, after like a month on month, just refine it more, you know, then you will get that clarity as time goes on. Because 2023 was a very different year, right? Like in business, in comparison to the previous years. So what might work in one year might not work in the next year, right? Especially at the moment. So, you know, I'm hoping 2024 is a great year for all of us, but we need to have, you know, a plan in place.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, like, and I'm just telling everyone straight up, my basically the secret aspect of my plan that I'm already acting on, but for next year, is to reach out to tons of people every day, more one-on-one relationships and conversations, because that's really been good for us in 2023. What are you secretly planning that you can tell us? I suppose what I'm trying to ask you, Steph, is what are you doing? What are you going to be doing next year that's going to make you madly successful? What's the secret sauce of your plan? At least what you're willing to reveal to us, because I know you've got some secret stuff you can't talk about yet, which is awesome.
Sure. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm creating a membership. I'm creating a membership for, you know, a business membership, and that's going to cover all areas in business. So it's not just focusing on one. Another is I'm going to be creating some digital products as well. So then that way you've got the different streams of income, right? It's not just one and you're heavily relying on that. So thinking about, you know, different streams of income can be a great way, you know, for people to, you know, come in and have that touch point with you. You know, so it might not be immediately starting as an OBM, but if they have that touch point, they go, oh, you know, this Steph might actually has an idea of what she's talking about, you know, that will build that trust a little bit more as well. So that's going to be part of the roadmap. Those two things are part of the roadmap for next year.
I love it. And we got Legia Shoshone Hernandez from Canada. We love you, Legia. Welcome. And that brings me to my next question. To anyone watching, what's your advice to them to have a really good winning plan for next year? How do they work out what's important, what they need to focus on?
I think if anyone does a reflection piece in business, Ed, it becomes quite obvious what people need to focus on. People know what they do and what they don't do in their business.
Yeah.
Okay. And right. So deep down, we all know what, you know, where we've put our energy and where we haven't put our energy. So I think by sitting down and just really being honest with yourself, that's the best way in order to go, right, I didn't do this in 2023. I needed to do this in 2023. So maybe I need to do this in 2024 to keep, you know, my business progressing. It's not about making, you know, the six figures or anything else. It's about that progression. And I think that's the first step we need to take. But we also need to remember, Ed, when we plan, we're removing the procrastination, we're removing the overwhelm, we're removing all of those feelings that make us stuck. So essentially, that's why we plan short term and long term. By even planning our week, we're understanding what we need to achieve that week. And if it all doesn't come to fruition, that's okay. There's always going to be another week. However, by having that clarity, we're going to be removing all of those things that make us feel stuck.
Now, I'm gonna sound like a successful old man here who's over disciplined, right? If only that was true, haha. But I find in business and life, and I don't think you'll disagree. I tragically don't think you'll disagree with my statement. But I think in business and life, be it business owners or people personally, a lot of people don't have plans anymore. I find this is very much this whimsical way of living. They're just going to get up and just whatever happens, happens, right? And I've heard a lot of people say that lately. A lot of people are, and I can see your face scrunching up with aggression as I tell you this, right? You're like, you're already getting angry, right? You're about to punch your PC. But I see so many people today who are really in business or life, whatever, even career, who are just so whimsical in their approach. They're just very much, oh, whatever happens, happens. I'll see what happens. And I don't know about you, Steph, but that attitude's always bothered me. I can tell by your facial expressions you're furious. Tell us what you think on that.
Well, I think a few things come into play here, Ed, right? I think the first thing is it comes into what comes into play is that person's situation. So, for example, if they're in a cushy job and they have that attitude, it's because that money's coming in, like a ticking clock, right? So they don't have to think. They don't have ticking tock.
Well, not TikTok.
But do you know what I mean? They don't have to think. They don't have to, work for it. They don't have to, do you know what I mean? Where some people are, in their business and, for whatever reason, they are comfortable and they might have another source of income or whatever it is. There's no real urgency there. That's what I've come across. Okay. But for people like me who's trying to, make a living, support my daughter and, be a business owner, there's no such thing as that attitude. Because if I had a cushy super fund that I can rely on or a trust fund or whatever, even then, it's just not in my DNA to be,
Changing reality, let's say your parents hypothetically were multi-millionaires and you had all the money you wanted, you go and start a big corporation. So I think whether you had the money or not, you'd still be Steph doing your awesome entrepreneurship. And I suppose my question for you is, and I know quite a few people are thinking this, there are going to be some amazing people who are watching right now, who are going to be watching the recording, who are great people, but they're a bit lost in life. They're a bit lost in their business. They're a bit lost in life. And if you are listening, and that is you, please don't feel bad. We've all been there. What do you say to the people watching who are really lost in business and life? How can they sort of find their center and go from there?
I think it depends on what's going on, Ed. See, if it's solely business, then, we can have a chat and, nut it out. If it's something personal, and it usually is something personal, the way I look at it, and I had to do this year, Ed, I had to focus more of my attention on my daughter and all the appointments we had to go to. So my business in some ways took a small, it took the back seat. Okay. But what I didn't want to do, which I've done in every other year in business, is I've stressed myself to a point where I'm like, I have to give my daughter 100% and I have to give my business 100%. And that just puts me in a worse position when we think like that. Right. So if something is going on in our personal lives, we need to sort of have a think about, well, if we focus our time and energy on that, will it come to a place where you can find peace with it, or you can fix it, or whatever it might be, in order to then be able to focus on the business side of things?
Wow. Well said. And I've got two thoughts. Got Tamara Bertram with us. We love you, Tamara. Tamara has a new baby. Absolutely. Tamara and I go back many years. We love you, Tamara. And I saw interesting, and I'm going to share this with you. I don't think it's this politically insensitive, but I saw it was one of my female friends on LinkedIn shared this incredible post that went viral on LinkedIn. It had like 1,000 likes and all that. And what she was talking about was Generation Xer, right? Generation X. I'm a Generation Y, but well, close enough, right? And what happened is that she was brought up in a way of that feministic idea that you can do everything and you can have it all. You can be a successful mom. You can be a CEO. You can run triathlons. You can run marathons. And I remember when I was growing up, there was this big message, especially aimed at women, that you can have it all. And again, judging by the aggressive expression on your face, we're obviously agreeing. All these fantastic women are now coming out saying this is just impossible. Like this crazy expectation. I couldn't even do that, and I'm a dude, right? My point being is that there was this expectation just in a way forced on women saying that you can basically become a CEO of everything. And it's like, I don't think any human could pull that off. What do you think of that one?
I agree with that, Ed. And that's the mindset I had when I started my business. And, being a new mom, you've got brain fog, you're not, like in that right frame of mind 100% because, you've just had a baby and all that sort of thing. And it ended up,
it's hard work.
Yep. And it ended up costing me my health. So then, right, because I wanted to be the CEO, I wanted to be the best mum possible.
You can have it all. You can be CEO, have 5 kids, and run triathlons. No problem.
Exactly. So what I now say, Ed, is every woman needs to define, what being who she is on her own terms and what that looks like for her. Right. So if it is 75, just hypothetical here, if it's 75% of the time being a mum and then focusing on your business 25% of the time, that's okay. As long as it works for you, that's what matters. It doesn't matter about society, because society are going to talk about the next big thing in the, the next day. Right. So we've got to take away this stigma that women have to do this and they have to have it all and blah, blah, blah. When in all honesty, right, this comes from men. Okay. It's not coming from women who have had children, who have had to do the hard yards and, try and build an empire, so to speak. Right. So I think as women, especially as mums, if there's, and I put this in one of my books, Ed, we need to define what success looks like. And that's across all boards, personal, business, whatever it is, not society. And I'm passionate about this, Ed, because I've been through it, and it's a horrible stigma, that, and it's like, well, we need to start showing, and this is partially of what I'm doing. We need to start showing that there can be, a focus on family and a focus on business. There's a time and place for everything. And how we choose to do that is not dictated by society. It needs to be dictated by us. Thank you very much.
It's funny you say that. And again, I love calling, not that I'm a right-winger Christian, mind you, so I'm not really into lefty politics, but calling it accurately, I agree with you. I think this whole, again, why, the establishment is telling us always how to think and be, right? And as you're right, it changes on a whim, right? Changes on an absolute whim. One moment they're making us all wear masks, and then one moment we're all going out for no reason, right? So you get that, right? But I agree with you. I think the irony of that feministic movement, and I've actually read a lot of articles on this, a lot of it was actually created by men. So ironically, this whole feministic movement was actually engineered by men. And at the end of the day, it shafted women. You can have it all. Again, you can run triathlons, be a mother, and run a successful business. I'm having trouble just doing one of them.
And it is a juggle, Ed. No one's going to be at home, making home cooked meals every day while running their business, running the household, and running the kids, and running
15K run at 10 p.m. with push-ups up at 4 a.m. every day. But I got something funny. You're gonna like this, right? And I called it. Right. Actually, we had this chat. I called this one. I'm gonna make now again. If you are one of our fans, I don't. This is not aimed at you, but I know it's not. All our fans are pretty red pilled, right? Love your work all. There's this whole, and Lassie and I were having this funny conversation too. We all called it, right? I think I could be wrong. It was about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. There's this whole 4 a.m. movement, right? Now, what the 4 a.m. movement was, and I think it was big on TikTok and Instagram. I don't really on LinkedIn. LinkedIn people are kind of smart and see through this crap, right? Oh, and Tamara says we're both awesome. Tamara, we love you. In fact, side note, do you love Tamara, Steph Gobraiel? Because I love Tamara Bertram.
Absolutely. I'd love to connect with Tamara, and, if she's got any questions about, being a new mum and anything else, I'm all for supporting, mums and anything else. So she's more than welcome to drop me a PM on LinkedIn anytime.
Yeah. I would love Tamara Bertram. Now, it was this whole 4 a.m. movement, right? And what it was that everyone was doing this whole setting their alarms to 4 a.m., right? And and between 4 and 6 a.m., they do all this cool stuff, like they cook all these meals, they clean their house, they go for a run. Basically, the goal was you get up at 4 a.m., you do all this stuff, and then you pump it out on Insta, TikTok, whatever rubbish platform, basically to show how productive and awesome you are, right? So it's basically the whole thing of, well, if you're serious about life, you're going to get up early and do all this stuff, right?
So, Ed, can I ask, were these people with kids or were these just people?
Well, there you go. So Steph's a very smart lady already dissecting it, right? Well, you're getting ahead of me in the conversation. You're right. What it was a lot of them weren't mums. They had all these, or they were mums that didn't have to work because they had, let's say, a husband making all the money, right? So basically you had these people, mostly women, getting up at 4 a.m., basically pumping out all this stuff on social media about how awesome they are and how productive they are. And Lassie and I, obviously agreeing, Lassie and I looked at each other and said, okay, we give this movement a month. And now a few of our friends, and I apologize, a few of our friends started trying it. And because we're our friends, we said, no, don't do it. You're going to get sick. I've done the 4 a.m. thing. I've been in the army for years and worked for the AFP. I've done it, right? I said, do not participate in this 4 a.m. thing. And they're like, well, Ed, you can suck it. I'm going to do it. And what happened was, guess what happened after 3 weeks of the 4 a.m. thing?
They got sick.
Sick, injuries, made big mistakes. So what do you think of this whole 4 a.m. thing? I don't know if you remember it, but we all just saw right through this whole 4 a.m. thing.
But again, Ed, I think it comes down to who you're talking to here. If you're talking to parents, they'll just laugh at this whole thing, right? Because as a single person, right, let me tell you, before I had my daughter, I was able to wake up at 4 a.m. I'd be able to do that. You can run on a few coffees in the day, and then you can get to bed at like 7, 8 o'clock if you needed to, right? But when you got kids, it doesn't work that way. They run, it's around their schedule. It's not around it. Yeah. So that's why I asked you, do these people have kids? Because the reality is, anyone with kids should be laughing at that 4 a.m. thing, not, participating in it. But
Tamara Bertram said something funny. She goes, you should see how productive I am at 2 a.m. when I have a newborn and a 2-year-old awake at the same time. Well, Tamara,
wow.
But Tamara is the exception. Tamara's pretty cool. Tamara's a powerful lady. So I think that's it. I think the key thing we're touching on, and I love how you framed it, is we need to be sustainable. So again, when everyone started doing this whole 4 a.m. thing, this is unsustainable. This is just a TikTok fad, right? Which is ridiculous. And I think the second point is, I love what you said before, and you said it better than I did. It's, you got to define your own success. And again, I think women get picked on a lot. Ironically, feminism was designed mostly by men to project onto women how they need to live and exist. And I love how so many women like you are seeing through those lies and are really being red-pilled about it.
Well, my health took a hard hit in the first 2 years of my daughter's life, Ed. So then I had to go, right, whoever made this up, there's something really wrong with this stigma. So, by creating, your own success and what that looks like, that's going to be different for everyone, right? So you've got to be able to acknowledge that and be okay with that. and then say F you to the rest of the world when they try and tell you otherwise, right? Because a Christmas message from Steph Gobraiel.
And interestingly, actually, do you want to know why feminism was created this way? Actually, one of my friends is a professor who actually has done quite a bit of gender studies. Actually, do you want to know why the message was created this way?
Why?
Yep. The great simple message is that big business and companies wanted more people in the workforce, right? And they wanted just women to work harder and be more productive in society. So it was never about liberation per se. It was about increasing the productivity of that unit. And a bit of more trivia, a lot of it actually came from World War II. So during World War II, where they actually had a practice run, men would go off to, pick up pulse rifles and fight wars, and women would run the factories, and everyone's like, man, they're doing a great job. Big business can see the money in it. Oh, yeah, we should create a feministic movement and get them working harder. This is awesome.
Yeah, which really doesn't make sense because it was a different time completely, right? It was a time when women didn't have the responsibilities that we have now, like running a business, making money and everything else. So you can't
and triathlon.
And triathlon, like seriously.
10 p.m. No, but actually, I'm not kidding. What I'm actually kidding. Someone actually, one of my female friends, she actually shared this image, and it literally was literally the woman being the successful mom, seven-figure business owner, and being basically an athlete.
Can I challenge you on that for 1 second? Can I challenge you on that for 1 second?
I'm just some weird guy saying weird stuff is probably incorrect.
So then you got to take a closer lens on, for example, Ed. Yeah, it looks all shiny and bright from the outside, but how great is her relationship with her kids if she's running a multi-million empire? Number one, right? Number two, does she even have time for them? Right? Like, I mean, you can't. You don't have that time.
Kids, I guess. Automation, right? Just set up a MailChimp automation to communicate with your kids.
Look, the reality is, Ed, if you're going to give 110% to one thing, something else is going to suffer.
Yeah.
And that's the reality, right? That's the reality. Unless you have, right, like your whole family living in your backyard, right, where they can help, where they can look after, they can be there, like on the blink of literally a knock off the door, then,
And that brings me to the and you said it before, of our 4 a.m. friends, right? Or not our friends, but the ones pumping it out there. It didn't take much digging to work out that was the case. They either didn't have to work, so they have another spouse working, so they don't have that financial pressure because they can do. Oh, I'm up at 4 a.m. Washing dishes. And you're a loser, right? Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, the whole family thing, because at the end of the day, if you're right, if you've got your whole family network nearby, man, like for example, and a big shout out, we live literally down the road from Lassie's mum, right? And she's awesome. Like Lassie's mum, we're going to Christmas tomorrow, and she's Chinese, obviously, and the ultimate Chinese Christmas, Chinese Australian Christmas. But what it is that she helps us look after our kids at times. She frees us up so we can do stuff. So I think as well, when you've got that family network, it's so much easier. And I love where you're going. Now, I want to ask you for some big closing thoughts. I want a bit of a monologue, Steph.
Sure.
There's going to be a lot of people watching who they're not happy with 2023. 2023 has not been their year, and they're angry. They're pissed off. And you know what? If I was you, I'd be pissed off too. What do you say to those people who had a terrible 2023 who want to win big in 2024?
Put that energy into focusing on how you're going to change 2024. Right? So if we don't take the steps, nothing's going to change. If we're going to sit there and, whine about it, whinge about it, okay, you can have a moment of doing that, but then snap out of it and create a roadmap for 2024 and what you're going to do differently. Because it's as soon as you start thinking, what can I do differently? That's, that awareness piece. We've talked about it so many times, Ed. We've got to have this self-awareness in business. What are we doing well? Great, tick. What are we not doing well in? Do we need to go out of our comfort zone? Do we need to push ourselves in order to have some sort of, movement off the needle in business. And this is why I said that in the very beginning, Ed. Like your personal growth is just as important. That's what will lead to your business growth, or your business, moving, in direction in your business. So it's really important to just, create a plan. And if it doesn't go to plan, that's okay. At least you tried. You can say you tried. If you don't try, what have you got to sort of show for yourself, right?
Well said. And Tamara Bertram, and we love you, Tamara, said, I'm sure you agree with the statement, mums are the best. I just want to say we fully agree with that statement. Do you fully agree and endorse the statement, mums are the best, by Tamara Bertram? There we go.
110%, 110%, because it's not a holiday for us. We still got to be mums. We still got to, run around like headless chooks. I was running around Friday, just trying to get some presents and, get all that together. And, yeah, we do it all. Mums are the best.
Yeah, I got to say, there we go. So let's say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I agree with that statement. There we go. Hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I got all the cool statements today, don't I? No, Steph, I'm going to say it's absolutely amazing. Now, I just want to ask you. I know you can't tell us everything because you've got some confidential projects on, which is fantastic. Just to give us a recap of what you've got coming out next year. Tell us about your workshops, your business community, and tell us about your women's networking and anything you're allowed to share at this point.
Sure. So I'm continuing being a host for She Will Shine. So any women in Sydney that are looking for communities to come together, it's a small group of 10. We come together bi-monthly, and it's really just about making connections in business and building on those connections. Next year, I will be launching my business membership, and that will be... Ed is keen to get my name in it, so I will have a think about it. I'm not going to, and I'm going to be creating some digital products, and I'm going to be doing quarterly business planning as well, because that might be less overwhelming for some people, rather than taking this whole 2024 thing. So if we take it one quarter at a time, that might help people as well.
Oh, incredible. I got to say, I love your work, and you've been an amazing networker too. You've been kicking butt in all your business communities and our community into it. One thing I want to ask you about She Will Shine, I love it. It's a group of 10. So being a networking leader myself, I can say this. The beauty of a group of 10 is people build really deep and intimate relationships that build great referral partnerships. Tell us a bit about that, Steph.
Yeah, so you actually have time to, talk to some of the other women and, see if there is synergy there. And, it's really that platform to meet the women. You're not going to, know, like, and trust them, in that hour and a half or 2 hours of time. The point is to come and see who you might have good synergy with. And then, it's up to you to build on that, after the get together. But it's a great way. It's intimate, as you said, Ed, and it's easier to sort of get to know, each of the women there, because there is a structure to it. So it's not just everyone talking to everyone, and it's also helping each other out. There's an element of helping each other out. So instead of one brain, you've got 9 other brains to, help you with whatever, challenge, or if you're stuck or anything you need.
So it's a bit of a mastermind too. Is that a fair comment? It sounds like, yes, it's a networking group, but it sounds like it's a bit of a mastermind to me, which I think is fantastic.
It's not so much a mastermind, but if they need help with something, we're open to, having that. Now, with a bigger group, if it's closer to 10, we don't really have time for that. But if it's a smaller group, like a group of 5, it'll be a lot easier to do that in the time that we have.
Yeah, whereas as in our meetups, we have like 100 people at Novotel Darling Harbour. Ours is like security at Sydney Airport. So our meetups are more comparable to security lane at Sydney Airport at 7 a.m. Friday morning. So there we go. Yep. I love it. Now, Steph, you are an inspiration, and we've got the whole gang here. If you are watching, by the way, live, thank you. Thank you, Tamara, especially for tuning in for us. And to all the other people watching, got heaps of people watching today live, so big thank you. It's funny, actually, most people watch this they like to watch but not know that we know that they're watching them. And also, if you're watching the recording, like, share, comment, connect with Steph. Steph's great. She's got great business community coming up, fantastic mentor, and also does the virtual assistants work. So there you go. Steph, thank you so much. I should leave you back to your Christmas celebrations.
Thank you, Ed. Likewise, and have a Merry Christmas to you and to anyone watching. And just enjoy some downtime. Too much food and anything else that you need to do in this festive season.
Thank you all. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, everyone. Love your work. Merry Christmas. Happy
Bye.
holidays. Love your work all.